My name is Capo Daniel. I am the spokesperson of the Ambazonia Governing Council. I want to thank Una all for tuning in on this very special edition where they come from the communication department from our liberation struggle. Today, we will respond as the Ambazonia Governing Council for a petition where it be made for us by the IG of Sisiku Ayuk Tabe, by their spokesperson and their communication head, Milton Taka. Milton Taka also the Secretary of State for the IG and the IG they then give a petition for the Ambazonia Governing Council Authority, and we will respond to that petition today for this show, for this presentation, as well as get into some counter offer for the IG. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be highly welcome. We get a lot of things with some highlights where they come from liberated area. But first, before we get into the program, let us go through our jungle, and we have a wonderful song for you coming from the great state of Mecho. Good morning, fellow televiewers on the ACN television network. Welcome to another episode of the No Conny Talk Show. In the making, history made already. This is a show where we talk the people's language for Biafra and the people's language for Ambazonia, the Pidgin English. And I'm me, Capo Daniel, una host. So I'll play this music and welcome everybody. And we'll go straight into this topic today, which is very, very important and very, very critical. C'est le Mama Amba. Those are our mothers, our aunties, all our mamidem for inside the great state of Menchum, marching to the colonial DO's office, singing, they are the mothers of the Ambazonian fighters. This is a powerful statement of legitimacy of our cause and the representative of our cause. The Ambazonian Liberation Movement represents the aspiration of over 96% of our people of the territory of the former British Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. It is a movement that stands for the grassroots of our people who have been subjugated of a foreign and alien rule from La République du Cameroon, a country that we were forced against our right to unite with by the United Nations in conspiracy with the British government, which was supposed to be a responsible trusteeship holder of our territory. We have found ourselves being a subjugated people in a situation that can only be best described as a recolonized territory. Even the Americans had warned of such union. Of course, there was no union, there was no expectation of a union. It was a matter of annexation, recolonization for the purpose of exploiting our resources. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our opening statement. You are all welcome. Today, we are going to respond to a petition, but before we get to that petition that was given by the IG of Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and his vice Yerima through their spokesperson, Milton Taka. First of all, I want to take you to the liberated area to show you some monument in one of our liberated area that our people have put up to demonstrate their control, their embrace of our nationalism, and the total freedom that they are experiencing within areas that have been in our control for over the past 2 years. The Ambazonia Governing Council is empowering our people, our citizens, to take control of our country and to establish a transitional authority that can guide our people in the interim while we have kicked out the Cameroon authorities. We need to put in place law and order an administrative setup that can governize our people for community project and generate our own Ambazonian local economy during this interim. When we say independence, we mean independence. And this is what we are talking about. A demonstration of our nationalism, a projection of our statehood, and our resilience and self-control of our territory. Ladies and gentlemen, today also I want to announce to you, all Ambazonians who are at home and abroad, that following the policy of the Governing Council to institute a liberation tax for all multinational companies that are exploiting our territory, taking all the profits out, giving peanut salaries to our citizens, and for the most part, bringing in their own citizens to come and exploit our territory without any investment that is significant to our territory. The Governing Council thought it wise, for the purpose of demonstrating strength, for the purpose of making a statement of our control, and following the whole principle of territorialism, we have decided and imposed a liberation tax on all colonial companies, all foreign multinational that operates within Ambazonian territory. Today, our forces that have worked in concert with our tax board have confiscated property and impounded property of Camtel for failure of paying their 10 million that the organization demanded for them for last year liberation tax. I want to show you some of the video evidence, some of the pictures. This is a vehicle. It belongs to Camtel, and these are part of the documents they were going out for survey. The vehicle have been impounded by our forces for failure of compliance with the liberation tax that was demanded from Camtel. We have instructed all companies that operate in Ambazonia through our communication and through direct communication with those companies that their workers and their properties will be seized and their workers will be considered as representative of those companies. We have also advised everybody who is working for a Cameroon company or a multinational in Ambazonian territory that it is your duty to make sure that your company is in compliance with Ambazonian tax law. If your company have not paid liberation tax, do not work for that company. Insist that they must pay their liberation tax, because you as a worker will be considered by the Ambazonian Defense Forces as a representative of that company, and you will be held responsible for the payment of that tax. That is why our forces have acted wisely and confiscated, impounded the vehicle and property of Camtel for the non-payment of liberation tax until they will pay that liberation tax before that vehicle will be returned, and we will not hold that vehicle for an indefinite period of time. Our forces on the ground will take measures to make sure that that vehicle within a reasonable period of time, if they don't comply with our tax law, the vehicle will be considered as a lost property, and that same tax will be demanded. The vehicle will not be considered as part of the tax. They will have to pay their liberation tax. So that is what is going on in our liberated areas and across Ambazonia. Every company have to do their duty, their social responsibility to pay their liberation tax. You cannot be exploiting Ambazonian resources, carrying out economic activities in Ambazonia, and there is nothing to show for. All those revenues are being taken back into La Republic to support the network of Bulu Beti cliques who are there as puppet to continue to exploit our people. We shall not allow that. It is your civil duty, your social responsibility as a company that operates in an area to make sure that a substantial amount of money is invested in that area. So we are doing the right thing to make sure that all foreign multinationals who operate in Ambazonia must pay their liberation tax. It is very strategic, it is the right thing, it is just, and the law will be enforced and will continue to be enforced by our forces and all sister forces in Ambazonia. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a video that have come out that I would want to show you that have affirmed certain things that the communication and the communicators and our friends in the media, the activists, have been championing for the past 2 years. For past 2 years, since Sako Ikome launched the program of My Trip to Boya, we have made certain statements, and time has proven us that we were right. Time has validated us. Even though we stood as lone wolf to speak against criminality, scamming, and we told the Ambazonia people that the money that was given to Sako, over $2 million US, was not money that was entirely from Ambazonians. These were money that were given as bribe to secure the participation of the IG and all Ambazonian groups into this SG scam, this Swiss cheese that they are talking about. That was part of the money that was paid by the Cameroon Secret Service in the back door, and that money will not be used until the Sakos and the Cristiano they deliver. We made that statement before, and now we have proof that can substantiate that our intelligence and hard work in investigation has paid off. So I want you to watch this video from Chris Anu, confirming what we had told you over more than 2 years ago.
Sako and his gang collected. Is there no means for you guys over there to collect back our money, because we have been contributing for this show for a long time, and when Sako was in power, we didn't see anything.
We actually thank you for the question. We actually have collected all of the money with the bank accounts, all of it. It is in our keeping, and that is the reason why Sako now is in court with us, because we collected all the money from him, and we are very proud of what we have done. I hope they can record this and take this to court and say, yes, I confirm that we have it. We're not denying we have the money. We have all the bank accounts.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can hear from yourself for yourself. My country people them for Ground Zero una feel here by our own ear. Wait to wait Chris Ano the talk. Say all the money we did with Sako, they don't successfully collect the money from all the bank account. The question what I go and ask una, now say why they go to launch the so-called draft if money be there for bank account? Why they go to complain say they no be get money for pay TV station if money if be there for bank account? Now for sure I say that the money for bank account no be money where they feel use them, no be clean money. And their actions them and their direction where they try to turn this struggle, for derail this struggle, now an evidence for which way they be up to. Now people in this way they don't take money for guarantee say Ambazonia must go for Swiss for a surrender process. This one not be just testimony from the governing council and our allied. Individual like John Bakoro, where don't participate for that particular project, it don't come out for talk say a way for safe face, in your own word, a safe face surrender mechanism. Godidinka, a Republic of Ambazonia, don't go for they then withdraw. Yerima for Sisiku, Ayuk, Tabe, don't go for they then withdraw. All legitimate organization where they be selfless, they don't go for they then withdraw. So make una know, say Barry Cobet, the chocolate company, when he introduced the Swiss government to this arrangement, Naiwe Frujon's Foncha be open door for the mid and go for behind the AMF, go for Ground Zero with white people them, go do their investigation about how to destroy this struggle. Naiwe did not make arrangement for cocoa and for seaport on top this deal for Swiss. The money is there for bank account, they no fit chop them, because if they chop them, they go hamburg their family and way they live for Ground Zero like guarantee. So now validation this for team will be done the talk for many years. Some individual the way they know be do their hard work for investigate. The video for they criticize we una begin to see every day only admission and confession for the things the way will be done the already the talker. So that was just something I want to put out there for you people to take cognizance of. So ladies and gentlemen, the primary objective today now for address the petition given by the IG Care to the Ambazonian Governing Council Authority. We will welcome positive opposition, as we, the Ambazonia Governing Council, have taken the lead amongst all the nationalist movement, who are also leader in their own right. But as the leading movement, we welcome criticism, and it should be positive. Previously, we have seen Yerima come out and label legitimate liberation tax as ransom taking. That was irresponsible. We responded with hard criticism because we are counterpuncher. We are the vanguards of our liberation, and we jealously protect the integrity of this liberation movement. Professor Carson Anyangwe, he also crossed the line to try to delegitimize legitimate actions for our liberation for political reasons. We responded with harsh criticism, which is what they deserve. Today, me, the spokesperson of the Ambazonia Governing Council, wants to address, like a gentleman, intellectually, the proper petition that have been presented to our public, a petition from the IGK to the Ambazonia Governing Council Authority by Milton Taka. Because he has chosen this proper way to make a petition, I am going to respond to him properly. But I must also remind you that my presentation for tonight is a accumulation of expression made by members of our organization and the Ambazonia Governing Council Authority. A proper statement will be issued directly to the IGK, not on social media, but in the background regarding their petition that they have made public. We deserve to answer him publicly, and we'll do so as it is. We'll take them as it come, and we'll give them to as it come. So maybe we'll go for the video, and we'll go examine them, and we'll go respond step by step.
Homeland. And the big question that we would want every single Ambazonian, especially comrades on the political side of AGOVC, is to reflect very deeply on the quality of the engagements that lead to the kind of positions the whole that are called policy. The one thing we can never get wrong in a war is to put in place policies.
When I put my pen up, it will be an indication to stop, and then maybe we'll rewind for some few seconds, and then we continue. So Mr. Milton Taka is saying that he's petitioning, he's requesting that the Ambazonian Governing Council Authority review certain policy. And these following statements he's making is to substantiate. He first begins with some statements of principle that comes from them. So we will consider the following statement that he will make as principle that should guide their reasoning. And we will also use the opportunity to ask you to take note of this principle, because if this is their standard, then that same standard should be justly used to judge what he will say next, and even to judge the IGK as a whole. And I hope someday we will get to a point where we will not just be talking over each other, but the IGK can actually come and meet us for a debate. And we have a conversation with them and debate. Our people deserve gentleman conversation amongst adults and leaders who are taking responsibility of the nation. We should be able to debate issues out, and people will judge from themselves, or even partners can have opinion of those debates, and our population will be served. Because in most civilized states and civilized society, debates are where challenges are made to policies and positions, and through those debates, the best of those communities, their ideas triumph, and it should be tested in that form. So we hope someday we are progressing. This should be a big progress for our struggle, that we are now having this type of exchanges from petition and respond and counter petition, or maybe counter petition. But this is very good for our nation. So let's continue.
That go against our people and not the enemy. Any policy that inflicts maximum pain on the enemy is definitely a policy that is Amba friendly. Any policy.
So he gives 6 principles of 6 points of statement. In a court of law, you say points of statement, because you make a case, you have to make your petition have to have those points of statement to affirm what you are requesting. So these are points of statement. It says any policy that goes against our people and not the enemy. This is Amba unfriendly policy. That means these are not things that anybody should do. The second statement he made was, any policy that inflicts maximum pain on the enemy is Amba friendly. So Mr. Milton Taka and the IG have coined this word Amba friendly, Amba unfriendly. So let's go by it. We have had two. First, no policy should go against our people and not the enemy. So it should not go, it should go for, no policy should go against our people and not the enemy. That means it should go for the enemy and not our people. The second, it should inflict maximum pain on the enemy. That should be considered Amba friendly. Let's go on.
A policy that stops the enemy from being able to raise the revenue they use to buy guns to kill our people is most certainly an.
So the third one, it talks say any policy where it is stop the enemy, that means La République du Cameroon, because we expected that the enemy where they mention them, from collecting revenue is Amba friendly. So any policy where it could stop La République make it not collect money, na good policy that for Ambazonia. Let's continue.
Amba-friendly policy. Any policy that makes it impossible for the enemy to administer people and get our people pay loyalty to them is most certainly an Amba-friendly policy.
So una hear very well. I'm going to talk and for all our country people for here. So it talks say any policy way it make a bit difficult for La République for administer our people. That means me then get administration for do administration work for our people them, and then for make them our people they be friendly with them. They show loyalty for our people them for La République. No be good policy. So we need to get policy then way it stop La République from administration work, and for stop La République also from getting loyalty from our people by this exchange. That is fourth. So we'll go for the two last one then.
Policy that makes it impossible for the people to freely move into a community and have fun talking to a people as though it's their people is an Amba-friendly policy. And of course, over the last 6 years, without a doubt, the only time you see the La République terrorist administrators get into our communities and the agents from the pit of hell is when they are circulated or camped around very heavily.
So this last two, it talks a policy way it make them easy for the enemy for freely move into our community and for talk for our people them as though them been a friend, be Amba friendly. Then it talks say the enemy it come for inside Ambazonia territory, inside Amoka, they prepare themselves inside Amoka for camp. So this is a premise. These are the assumption. These are the principle of his petition. Because any petition you get, any request you get some statements of benchmark. So these are the facts you want to understand these things. So Mu talk say these are what reasonable person go believe. Say these are the standard of the IG, and they sounds reasonable. Because if you talk say if any policy way it punish our people more than La République, then that policy not be good. So I agree with all these premises. Is if any policy inflict maximum pain on the enemy, it be a good policy. If any policy it stop the enemy from collecting money, now good policy. Yes, we agree. So it talk also say if anything way it make the enemy me the enter to meet up our people that they talk for them friendly, no be good policy that we need to stop me like probably talk for our people them friendly. Now good things them. Then the last one it talk say the enemy they come na inside armored car just to prepare we for move. No say the enemy they come na inside armored car. That one not be accurate. La République need to use only armored car. La République get people the way they stay inside Ambazonia where they work for La République. I mean administrators them for certain area. No they need use armored car. We need for another one. They still get some administrators in certain areas. We don't control 100% of our territory. We control about dynamically. We control about 80%, according to the Ambazonia Governing Council. But statically, we control close to 40. La Republic have lost about 30% of their own controlled areas physically. So we have seen them removed from some of their barracks, packed out of certain areas in our territory. But I think the statistic will come up later after August. So maybe we go now, we hear the complaint, where you go explain them after you done lay this groundwork. Maybe we hear the complaint where Milton Taka get them from the IGK, the petition where the petition week.
Armed and guarded military to the teeth. And you know what? They plant themselves in the midst of our people, knowing fully well that they will be protected, because our number one responsibility is to protect our own people. So the question is, when any of our sister forces rises up and makes a declaration that at this moment where we are pushing out the enemy, but yet we still have batons of the enemy in our own territory, none of our people must drive their cars with specific number plates. The question we ask is, are you sure that the decisions you have taken are not counter-revolutionary? Are you sure?
So, Milton Taka basically the talks La Republique the Wakana with Amoka. And La Republique du Cameroon, their people, they come inside our territory with Amoka, well protected, armed to their teeth. Then get checkpoint them around Ambazonia. They still get pockets of post them for around Ambazonia. So we'll be sure say this decision will be taken for Toxemi then stop for carry Cameroon number plate and CEMAC number plate. Now the right thing, you know, go get now the negative effect on our people. So what I want Milton Taka to understand, yes, Cameroon military then get post them, isolated military posts in some areas that we control. They still maintain some posts that they are bunkered in. In the areas we consider we control them physically, in those areas they don't go to patrol. So area that we see that there might be a Cameroon military barrack somewhere, but they just stay in their barracks, they don't go to patrol. They wait until their armored car will bring them food and deliver food and go back and bring new people and go back. We don't consider that place is in dynamic control. We consider that area to be a liberated area, and we take measures to make sure that we have an eye on them 24/7 so that our people can enjoy in that liberated area. Let's stop. Let's not go to those videos, please. So the point I want to make to Milton Taka to understand, and the IGK is to understand, is that areas that you have Cameroon military bases, barracks, does not necessarily mean that the Cameroon military controls everything or anything. In most of the area we control physically, they just stay there. In areas we control dynamically, they are able to set up roadblocks, sometimes do some patrol. In areas that they control, they have administrators. So that is a classification system of the Ambazonia Governing Council and the Ambazonia Defense Forces, which is our defense department. So the assertion that Cameroon government have some checkpoints, they still have their presence in Ambazonia, and instead of us fighting them, that presence of that in our territory does not allow us to make this decision. What Milton Taka should understand, that the fact that the Cameroon military can patrol, or the fact that the Cameroon government can bring people in armored car, you should know this thing. Very, very, very important for you to know. Before Cameroon government can send armored car with her agents anywhere in Ambazonia, they already must have a network in that area and a support system to permit them to come there, and for those networks to rally people and to do the ground preparation for them to come there. So before Cameroon can send armored car with their people to come and campaign for elections, or for them to go and do something, they already have areas in that, people in that area in a network. And those network are usually people who are stakeholders in the economic system that have been put in place by La Republique du Cameroon. People who work for the companies, multinational companies, that are seen by our people as civilians just working for some company, and business people who pay tax to La Republique and register their company to La Republique. That is why you see that people like Patrick Ekema was fighting hard with all traders and many colonial mayors, unelected people in every area of Ambazonia. They forced traders to open their door, intimidate traders to pay their tax and make sure they display things. And that is the reason why Cameroon government or colonial government always come and close shops, because they want to create a leverage over the business community and the people that are stakeholders, financial beneficiaries of their economic system, like people who work for these companies, these multinational companies. So the fact that the Cameroon government, using their laws and their military, can have leverage over these people are now, they have some obligation to the Cameroon government and they serve as a network. We also have experience on the ground that people who sell brasseries, who are in breach of Ambazonian law, are always seen or will seek protection from the Cameroon military network and will be considered as part of the network of the Cameroon government, Cameroon colonial government within Ambazonia. So there are some of these laws that we put. You don't wait to attack the Cameroon government when they come in armored car. What you want to do is to put in place policies that will make it impossible for that armored car convoy to come there in the first place and do all those propaganda videos for Cameroon. By putting a ban of brasseries, we can easily identify and stop people from having loyalty with La Republique, but have loyalty with us. Because when your bar does not sell brasseries Mimbo, we already know you have your loyalty with us, and it creates animosity between you and La Republique, and definitely makes you a loyal Ambazonian person, and you'll be out of their network. The companies that pay tax, like Kamwata, Hezekam, and all these multinational companies that operate in Ambazonia, the fact that they pay tax and have established relationship, economic relationship, and get permission from La Republique to Cameroon, creates a network for them and La Republique, and it benefits La Republique. Because for them to work, they need that permission from La Republique. So there is that collaboration there that is being exploited by the enemy. And that is something we as a people exerting our sovereignty have to also establish. We have to make sure that companies are required and are forced by law and the use of our forces to pay liberation tax in a reasonable manner. Once they start paying this liberation tax, they are taking permission from us to carry on economic activity. And that economic activity is seen as an Ambazonian economic design and make them to have a stake in our well-being. They will not want to see us die because they know we have convinced them already that they cannot kill all of us. So those business people will now have double allegiance. They will not be trusted by La Republique. And by that, creating that animosity by them paying this tax, kept them out of La Republique's network. So it is very important that all companies in Ambazonia demonstrate a loyalty to us. And that is why La Republique is fighting in this manner. So the IGK have to know that these rationale are reasonable and are for patriotism. It's very important. So you see people like brasserie sellers and brasseries, people who have brasseries warehouse, they are always afraid of Ambazonia. And when you are afraid of somebody, what do? You try to protect yourself by working with the other person, the person who is the enemy of the person you are afraid of. So by us implementing this liberation tax, the people who pay liberation tax are definitely will be afraid of La Republique. And they will be working with us in more than one way to protect them. Whether it is for us to hide their identity or to do what I'm just giving it as an example. But I'm trying to just make our people to understand that liberation tax is not just about collecting money. It's also about the security for Ambazonia. It's also about legitimacy for Ambazonia. It's also about gaining a leverage for Ambazonia. The money is a good part as well. But there are other strategic reasons for the liberation tax, and not everything needs to be put on social media. But I've given you reasons to understand why. And this should eliminate the concern that why should there be roadblocks, Cameroon be able to keep roadblocks, and then we are asking for liberation tax or demanding drivers to not carry on Cameroon number plate, which I'll get to. But let us continue and we get there as we go.
Those decisions do not fight against the very reason for which you make them yourselves. Don't we realize that any decision that is not implementable, any decision that we cannot account properly for its implementation, especially with regards to getting our people buy into the decision, because the decision hurts the enemy. If that decision...
So, wait to wait, the IG care in the talk, as Milton Taka the talk and their spokesperson, now say some decision then they will be counterproductive as it is demonstrate loyalty to the enemy, as I don't explain for now. It's some decision then they will not be implementable and we cannot account for it. The Ambazonia Governing Council, our forces are not hired forces that we will be unaccountable for the decisions we make. So, for an organization like the IG, who do not really have a command and control over forces since they have this idea of sponsorship through middlemen, so you pay for loyalty, they can have this concern, but they should understand that the Ambazonia Defense Forces have ranks and file. These are forces that have taken oath to defend Ambazonia under the leadership of the Ambazonia Governing Council. We have a command and control structure. So we have accountability for our activity. That is why we can put law, because we have an army on the ground that can enforce the law. The ADF is called a force because it has a political leadership and it's a responsible force. Since we impose this law, there have been no excesses of somebody using this law for something else other than what it is. Even criminals have not been able to use this law to exploit our people or to extort our people, because the population and the Ambazonian Defense Forces in Bamenda, which is the capital of our resistance, and in all Ambazonians, which this law will eventually take active effect, are loyal and are patriot and supports this law, and they have demonstrated it in Bamenda. I want to show some pictures of compliance of this law. Since Mr. Milton Taka said this law cannot be enforced, I want to show him. For a law to be enforced, you do not only need force, you need to be reasonable, it needs to be acceptable, and the population needs to see that it protects their interests. CEMAC number plate was designed for vehicles who cross across border line within the CEMAC region. Our vehicles do not need to have CEMAC number plate. By having CEMAC number plate, they are paying 50,000 every year extra for the card they call card rouge. It is unnecessary. It is an exploitation of our people. We have banned both CEMAC number plate and Cameroon vehicles number plate. And the implementation is strong in the ground. You can see that more than 70% according to statistics. And I'll also give you how we do statistics and to show you that there is accountability. The Ambazonia Governing Council do not just do things on social media. These pictures you see and the videos we have shown before, we have a transitional authority on the ground that takes time and we invest in them to do statistics. They have positioned themselves in 3 places and used Bamenda as a test case. They have counted the vehicles that pass them, the ones that have number plates change and are in compliance, and the ones that do not have. Over 70% of vehicles have complied with the law on their own. We have conducted only 2 operations to enforce this law. As a matter of fact, we do not even see the need to use Ambazonian forces to enforce this law because our drivers are doing so. Even La République du Cameroon have acknowledged in a document issued by their own colonial governor, which I want it for the technician to put up there, for you to see. La République du Cameroon colonial governor, Lele Afrique, have sent out a document clearly stating that the Cameroon government have noted that many drivers in our town, in Bamenda, in the Savannah State, have been replacing their number plate. So this is the document of the colonial governor, Lele Afrique, stating that the drivers are in compliance. I think we have a technical difficulties there. But definitely, anyway, you have that document when the technician will see it. So there is document showing from the Cameroon government complaining that drivers are complying with our law. So the law is is enforceable. It is a lie that it is not enforceable. Drivers are taking off their number plate. I think they have been mixed up there by our technician. So the law is enforceable. There is accountability. There is follow-up. There is statistics. And there are measures that have been put in place to make sure that excesses are not done. The Cameroon government have tried. Yes, now this is, thank you. These are documents from the Cameroon colonial governor stating here, and I read part of that statement. It says that the Cameroon government have realized that more and more vehicles are taking off their number plates, and he's requesting that the Cameroon military and all Cameroon officials to make measures and deploy military to stop vehicles that are in compliance of Ambazonian law. That means vehicles that are not putting on Cameroon number plate and CEMAC number plate. And the Cameroon military have put their forces in Tarinkun and 2 other places in Kwen to try to enforce their own law. And they were overwhelmed by the number of vehicles that are in compliance with Ambazonian law, so much that they abandoned the whole thing. This is also a demonstration that we have won Cameroon. It has demonstrated loyalty of our people. It has disgraced La République, that even later from their governor is not enforceable in Ambazonian territory. So this policy is a big win for Ambazonia. It has shown that we are in control and La République is not in control. It has shown that La République have more guns than us, more personnel than us. So if it was a matter of fear or legitimacy, you would say that people who respect Ambazonia or more, so we have more legitimacy than La République. So these are the achievements of this law, and the idea, the assertion by the IGK that the law is not being respected is not true. It's respected and it has the enemy. So let's continue.
Does not hurt the enemy but our people. We need to rethink. It's not just the CEMAC license plates. The cry of a stinking Bamenda has, when leaders across all platforms on a daily basis get questions like, why will you stop us from drinking water now?
Because hold on there. You know, I am also Mr. No Connie, so I will show you the dishonesty of Milton Taka. So he goes now to Hezekam. He talked about that people are complaining that Bamenda was stinking because of that our policy to ban Hezekam vehicles from transporting trash or doing economic activity, because for Hezekam this is economic activity without paying liberation tax. So he said many people were complaining. Indeed, it is true. Some people complained, like Abdul Karim. The IGK took it on their head, and many of their people were complaining. But Bamenda people were celebrating. We have put videos of our women who were celebrating when Hezekam was kicked off and an Ambazonian company took over. So from Hezekam, he introduced Hezekam and he pretended to disguise the issue of debt, and then he goes now to Kamwata, which was something that he said they were not petitioning about. So let's listen to it, if you can rewind it a little bit, and I will see address what he said about Kamwata. Just go ahead.
On a daily basis, get questions like, why will you stop us from drinking water now? Because we don't have the alternative we will get in future. Why will you stop us from using electricity? Because we will have our own electricity plants in future when we take over our land.
So Milton Taka is saying on behalf of the IGK that why will we stop Kamwata, when we don't have an alternative? That is dishonest, and that is just lie. To ask Kamwata to pay liberation tax does not stop them from doing the job of supplying water. It does not. From asking Eneo to pay liberation tax does not stop them to supply electricity. The Cameroon investment in the fixtures and the machinery to deliver electricity and water have been completed. They are break even. So they have been, this company already, they can function without us receiving money from their clients in Ambazonia. Remember that Cameroon is supplying more than 60% of her electricity capacity to aluminium company that process aluminium in their country, and they are not paying any money in their coffers according to documents that comes from their parliament. So it is not about lack of money, because we ask them not to collect bills if they don't pay for their liberation tax. Does not mean that we have stopped them from supplying water, and they did not stop to supply water. They did not stop to supply electricity. As a matter of fact, we have stopped them from collecting bills, from delivering bills, and they have continued to supply those goods. They are essential goods. If they were to stop that goods, it will be their prerogative, because they have the capacity to deliver, and they are obligated under international law to provide this essential service. It will be on them. It will not be on us. It will be their choice. It will not be because of lack of money that comes from Ambazonia. Remember that privatization that took place in the 90s was part of La République du Cameroon transferring assets to their colonial masters, who have disguised themselves as this multinational company, to their clique, the Bulu Beti clique, and their business representative like Dangote, like Babad and Dampolo, and the rest, and many of the Bulu Beti people and the French people that are skipping money for Cameroon clique Bulu Beti people in francs and in Swiss bank accounts. Privatization was not to help anybody or to save those companies or for better management, as we have seen. Privatization was simply a transfer of this company. Remember that CETA was also transferred to Hezekam in similar manner. And the family members of Pobia, direct family members, are involved in, are members of the chair members of Hezekam. So these are people who are taking over property. Since their governments, French government, could no longer colonize Africa, they put people like Pobia there and maintain them in power so that they can exploit us. And in return, the Cameroon government, like many other African countries that are under this type of system, they will come up with this pretend policy from the World Bank that they must privatize. In that privatization, they are just barely handing over those corporations and those plantations back to the white men, and they give us chicken change, and we continue to produce cocoa, coffee, and they go and sell it for exorbitant profit, and nothing significant proportion come back to our community. So this company should be seen for what they are. These are exploitation company. They are not making any significant investment in terms of even salary. They employ their own people. In the case of Hezekam, we have been informed by Hezekam that now they have appointed an Ambazonian as the head of Hezekam in Ambazonia. They have also made sure that 90% of the staff of Hezekam are Ambazonian, and we have told them no, it's not enough. So they are now still trying to come back to Bamenda. They are still trying hard to meet up our people, our demand, our initial demands, which we have walked away from. So you now see that Hezekam is now employing Ambazonians, giving local opportunities to our people. This does not guarantee them that we can take their offer. And now we have seen that the council trash, the trash in Bamenda is being picked up by Ambazonian company, contracted by Ambazonia, not a subsidiary or subcontracted, by local Ambazonia using Sansan boys, our own resources, and the town is clean and our people are happy. Our mothers are celebrating that finally those capital, those benefit, those dividends from those companies will stay in our economy. So it benefits Ambazonia, it hurt La République, because it shows that La République fought us for over 9 months. We lose soldiers, and we won that war for Hezekam. We have returned that particular job to our people. It is a big blow to La République that they surrender. And I'm here to still tell you that we are ready. We are not, we still have air in our stomach. We have taken it away from them. We have told them they don't have the capacity to protect Hezekam. We have destroyed their property and they will not. So we have done so for our people. This is for Ambazonia. And you yourself, you said that according to the prisms you have put, the principles you have put forth, you say that anything that hurt the enemy is a good policy. So this actually hurts the enemy. It actually benefits Ambazonia. So this is a good policy by your own standard. Eneo is the same thing. So this, especially Kamwata, these were Ambazonian assets in the first place, just hand over to foreign people to be collecting money from us from consuming our own water. And the water is poorly treated, substandard from what we used to do. They have even gone far as seizing community water project in some Ambazonian communities and some villages and hand them over in the name of privatization. We see even the tea plantation in Bui, in Dunga, all those areas there. They hand them over to the friend of Pobia to be making profit and will send that money to the bank account for Pobia. We have seen Baba Dangote doing negotiations with Fundi. So these companies must pay their liberation tax. We must make sure that it's at least some significant money is returned to our population, and that's the right thing to do. So let's continue.
Why do you stop us from ensuring our cities are cleaned now while we focus on targets that matter?
So, okay, look at what he said. I want you to pay to take note of this, and you know now that Milton Taka is playing politics in the middle of a liberation movement, and he's not honest. So go back, just rewind a little bit when he starts to talk about Kamwata, and then you play it up to this point. And I want our people to see the sequence and see the Koni.
You stop us from ensuring our cities are cleaned now while we focus on targets that matter. Like, why will you stop us from drinking water now? Because we don't have the alternative we will get in future. Why will you stop us from using electricity? Because we will have our own electricity plants in future when we take over our land. Why do you stop us from ensuring our cities are cleaned now while we focus on target?
So when you go for water, he say, why do you stop us from having water now when we don't have alternative? So the main reason behind his logic is that the reason is that there is no alternative. The same with Eneo. We say, why do you stop us from having electricity now when we don't have alternative? By the way, we are not stopping us from having electricity and water. But when it comes now to Hezekam, remember, note that he's not using the name Hezekam. He's using it trash. He said, why don't you stop us from having, from picking our trash now? And then he doesn't go and make the same logic that when we don't have an alternative. Because in picking up trash, we have an alternative. So if his complaint was about alternative, that the only way you can stop something is when you have an alternative. Like he gave the example for Kamwata, he gave the example for Eneo, then the same logic should apply for Hezekam. So we have an alternative for Hezekam. So we are right, we are reasonable according to your standard. Anybody who is rational and in the right mind wants to draw conclusion using the same logic of Mr. Taka will see that Mr. Taka is wrong, the IGK is wrong, and we are right because we have an alternative. If his reason was if you have an alternative, then it is okay. So that same logic should apply here. We have an alternative to carry trash. So we will not allow the Republic to carry our trash. So stop politics in the middle of war. Let's continue.
That matter. So we would want to ask comrades in AGOVC to look at amber-friendly policies, to seriously have strategic thinking that looks at policies that get our people excited to not only implement, but enforce them. We would want to see that if a leader in any of our liberation fronts, in front of the camera, gets a slip of the tongue, which is not a policy position of a movement, the movement would do the rational thing, would do the honorable thing, the responsible thing, by either retracting on that position or calling that leader.
So the IGK or Milton Taka is suggesting that the policy of the liberation tax, all this policy that you are seeing, the policy of liberation tax, they are complaining about liberation tax and what again? They're complaining about liberation tax. They are saying that it might have been a slip of tongue. They are trying to suggest that, I think, alluding to me, that once a leader have just come and say something on social media and it is a mistake, the organization have a responsibility to come and hold him to order and stop it. I guess it is because that is how they operate. Because judging from testimony from Silas as Zephyr, Milton Taka, who is the head of the communication, have no relationship with the communication department or the communication in the SCBC. The same with we see the functioning of Yerima, the vice president of the IGK. He also have no relationship with SCBC. And when the IGK are contacted about the SCBC, about their anti-revolutionary antagonization of other movement, they claim like they have control. They claim like they are in control and they know people. And sometimes we even ask them to provide contact number for the manager. They did not even tell us that the manager had resigned and that they don't have any control. They were just pretending. So I guess it is because they are behaving in that way, so they assume that the Ambazonia Governing Council is behaving in like manner. No. This policy for liberation tax, this policy to stop number plate of Cameroon number plate and CEMAC number plate is something that have been deliberated, have been debated, have been researched. For full disclosure, I don't want to talk about my own position on this policy actually, but there were very strong people who oppose it for some reasons. But when the research was done, when the statistic came out and the rationale came in and everything put together, the president of the governing council approved it, and it was adopted by the cabinet as a policy position and passed for the defense for implementation. So the Ambazonia Governing Council is a well-structured organization that do not just take things because their spokespersons say it or their communicators say something and then they are forced to say it, if that is how the IGK operates. No, we have our people should be assured that everything I say as a spokesperson, I speak for the organization. And the things that I say about the organization that are wrong, that are against our policy, either they will call me behind and force me to retract them myself, or somebody else will do it. We don't respect personalities. Remember, even Tapang Ivo had made certain controversial statements, and he was seen as ADF, even after he left the organization. And we were forced to engage him. He did not retract it. We came out to do so. He's a very popular guy and a very nice guy. It will be somebody that we would have just pretend and cover up because we want that part of him. But no, we stay on principle. So, Mr. Milton Taka, you have to know that these policies have been well researched. We have all the data, and things are going on well. And it has been very difficult to exchange and collaborate with the IGK because even in terms of the 1st of October, where we arranged, we're doing things with our forces, our liberated area, in areas we liberated from Ambazonia, to collaborate with them. They were arguing with us about pictures and frustrating any attempt for collaboration. So it has been very difficult for you people to have privileges of these informations, and you are cut off. And I guess that you guys should really, because now collaboration depends on you guys. We are going ahead. You guys have to be responsible in your role as an opposition, but also engage in positive collaboration and positive support in what we do. Don't criticize just because you have to criticize or because you want to be a good opposition, but be positive in the projects we do. Support the projects we do. Support what we are doing because it works. So let's continue.
2, stand up. That's been responsible and call off a policy that hurt a people. So these are just 2 of the policies that we single out. And we make this call in a true spirit of comradeship. In a true spirit of...
So the main logic, his conclusion was that the policy that hurts Ambazonia. So for them, anything that hurts Ambazonia should not be a policy. And that is a wrong ideology. You have to know that even when you observe the international community in civilized war who have more technology and more resources, in the case of the Russian war with Ukraine, You can see that the West have pulled out their enterprises. McDonald's have closed. You have JP Morgan have pulled out of Russia. A lot of companies have pulled out of Russia, losing billions. Their citizens are paying higher price for fuel because their countries are sacrificing. So if it was just because it will hurt them, they will not do that. But they are thinking in the long term. Sometimes you pay a price now for a long-term gain. That's why we also do the Monday Goes Down. Monday Goes Down was called on, and we know that it will hurt us even more than it will hurt La Republique in the short term. Because when we close our shops, it hurts us. But in the long run, it will give us legitimacy. It will enable our people to express themselves, because the only way they can do it, they must pay a price. That logic does not work, and that is why the IG have had it wrong in everything they have decided. When we launched self-defense, they made the same decisions, and they were thinking, oh, you attack La Republique, they will come and kill everybody. We attacked them. Of course, they are killing, but in the long run, they will fall in their own pit, and they will be held responsible for their actions, which are illegitimate, attacking innocent civilians. And Ambazonia today, for the first time in our history, we have internationalized our struggle. The United Nations Security Council have heard about our issue, and there are calls for negotiations. La Republique have been sanctioned by the Americans. They have been removed from AGOA. The Germans who used to train the bees have withdrawn their support. Cameroon is now paying a huge price because of their occupation of Ambazonia. And for the first time in our history, we are more closer to our independence. So just because of us, sometimes you need to take a little bit of pain for you to have some gain. These are normal things. These are rational things. So just because a policy pains us, the drivers themselves know it is difficult, but they must accept. And leadership takes that courage to demand that pain from our people and give them rationale. Just like a parent have that responsibility to tell to even punish your children sometimes for their own good, to restrain them from playing too much, and to be able to focus so that they can have a good result in school. So responsible leadership don't shy away from something that has some pain, but engage our people with education and prepare them so that they will embrace things that will pain them in the short run, but in the long run will give them victory. And that is exactly what we have done. We have engaged our people, we have debated, we have educated them of how good this thing will be, and that is why they are now receiving all these things happily. So that is very, very good thing. CEMAC played, and what I want to tell the IG Care, what they should understand, is the principle that the Governing Council have always been putting out there, and the inspiration our leader of our War of Liberation, Dr. Lucas Ayaba, have articulated. And this is philosophy, is the predication. It talks about the predication of colonialism. The whole idea of colonialism lies in the colonial master administering our territory. It lies on tangible things. It's not just an abstract topic, colonialism. It is a physical thing. The tangible Cameroon presence and administration in our territory are the number plates. It shows that they are administering our country. We cannot just sit behind and allow them to have their number plates, their national symbol across our national territory. We will lose. The international community will not see that we have kicked them out. Kicking out Cameroon is kicking out CEMAC number plate. Kicking out Cameroon is refusing their educational system. Kicking out Cameroon is refusing all the things that we can refuse from them in a reasonable manner. And all the things we have kicked against from La Republique are reasonable at this stage. But indeed, we must reject everything Cameroon, because independence means independence. We are progressing. We are taking steps today that we could not take a few years ago. And as we go forward, we will continue until the takeover will be complete, until Ambazonia will be completely liberated. Let's hear the last part of his statement.
Of comradeship, that you need to review your CEMAC licensing policy. You need to review your refuse removal policy. And of course, you need to review your liberation tax policy. We're not against policies that are Amba-friendly.
So, in a light spirit, we welcome the petition of the IGK. It is the right thing to do. It was done in a right manner, in a very settled language. This is not the type of language we have been used to from them. And we welcome this type of petition. And we encourage anybody who have petition to do so the way they choose to do so. If they choose to do it publicly, they can do it. It's also okay. And we also encourage them to put it in writing as well and do it privately. That way, it is more easy for us to have a settled and articulated response to them. So we welcome this petition. The Ambazonia Governing Council is actually preparing a response to them that will be handed to them physically, it will not be on social media, because that's the right thing to do. But I have expressed to you the position and the initial reaction of our organization, the leading organization of the struggle, the Ambazonia Authorities, so that you should know. And it's a proper way of doing it. So we welcome it. And we'll listen to the last part, and then I'll give my conclusion on it. So let's go.
We're against policies that inflict untold pain on our people. We hope this is a patriotic call enough. We hope this call will not attract another cycle of senseless attacks in the media, but we must equally just advise that we are here for our people. We are ready. And
so, Milton Taka said that he hoped this will not receive another attack on social media. I want to tell him that, of course, we have not attacked you people. We have never attacked you people. We simply respond to you the way you come. As you have seen me respond to you intellectually, that is how we do, because you have responded to us with some respect. When you come out and you call legitimate actions as illegitimate and you try to delegitimize them, then you have very harsh, I will not call it attack, it is called harsh criticism or offensive criticism that will offend you. And it should never be considered as attack. Because if you start to think that criticism are attack, then what are you doing right now, Mr. Milton? What are you doing? This is criticism. Should we also consider that this is an attack? No, we consider it as a petition, which is a petition as you rightly put it. It's a request, as you rightly say you requested. So we consider criticism as criticism. We don't consider it as attack. And the right way to respond is to articulate our position and to show you where you are wrong and where we are right. And sometimes also to do a counter redress of you. So I'm going to now address the IG also to show them the mirror. Because as you are struggling to move dirt in somebody's eyes, don't forget about your own eye. And it will be better when you clean your eye before you can clean somebody. So I want to take this opportunity now. I will let him finish the last part, which will set the stage for me to now also put the mirror in front of them. Let's listen.
Thing that seems to stand against the collective will of the Ambazonian people, anything that does not protect the Ambazonian people, we will fight against it. We will make sure that thing is stopped. My dear people, I'd like in closing to say that this is a war of liberation. We have many movements and many fronts, but I believe that the one thing many of you are calling for is patriotism. That every front pays homage to our national colors. That every front pays homage to Ambazonia. That we collectively say no to kidnapping and yes to the defense of the land. That we collectively say no to ransom taking and yes to contributions to the liberation of our land. That we collectively say yes to commitments that put Ambazonia first. And anything that stands on the way of our liberation, that together, people, we must confront it. And lastly, that we make a firm commitment with history, that it is time, that we are ready and we are committed, that nothing will stop us until Ambazonia is free, that even if it means standing alone, we will not give up, because our war is a war of liberation, and that France and Cameroon must know that Ambazonians are ready, and that Ambazonia will be free. It is just a matter of time. Homeland.
So
and the big question
I'll start from the beginning, and I'll advise the technical staff to leave the picture there, so that we talk, unless we want to change when we call it. I'll start from the beginning. Mr. Milton Taka and the IGK said that Ambazonia will be free. What I want them to know is that Ambazonia would not just be free. You cannot just sit down and your country is occupied and you think, or you start to imagine that you will be free. No, you will not be free like that. It doesn't work that way. And for Ambazonia to be free, Ambazonia must be liberated. It's not an illusion. You don't sit and then you don't do anything and you feel that food will come on your table. You sit there and you're praying and say that I am rich, and then you don't go out to work. Nothing will happen. The IGK have to know that Ambazonia will be free because Ambazonia will be liberated. So I want the IG to start thinking about liberation than the hope of Ambazonia freedom. Let our citizens and our lay people, let them hope. Let the leaders, the activists, and the movement, let them liberate. It takes leadership to liberate. It takes a citizen and a vulnerable people to hope. We don't have the luxury, when we shoulder this burden of our nation to fight for their freedom, to hope. We don't have hope in the governing council. We create hope for our people. We don't sit and expect Ambazonia to be liberated or to be free. We fight and we liberate our homeland. We are a group of dedicated individuals that believe in hard work, accountability, honesty, and discipline in order to free our people, because we know that is what it takes to free our people. And we'll continue to do so without blinking. We'll uphold good principles that self-check ourselves and accept and adopt good practices. And we'll always put our country first and not our group. That is why our leader, Dr. Cho Ayaba, was willing to even propose how to empower and get nomination for Sisiku from the other nationalist movement after Sisiku hijacked the Skakov platform. Our leader was still able to put himself down and humble himself and suggest on way to use the others to elevate Sisiku. How many times can anybody from the IGK try to elevate somebody else other than themselves? So in terms of patriotism, which we all agree that everybody should be patriotic and put the flag first and put the country first. That is the right thing to do. But I want Milton Taka to know. But before I say this, I want to use the word of Honorable Weber, who you people said that was the XXX, the vice president. Sisiku himself have said so to us, that Honorable Weber was the vice president. I don't know whether Honorable Weber have ever cleared the air on this issue, but somebody needs to ask him to clarify, because the way he speaks about the IG, it's hard to believe that he was the one. I hope this is not just one of the lies and the scam and misrepresentation of the IG. I hope I didn't say it is. But let us hear from the former vice president of Sisiku, Ayuk Tabe, a strong IG person, so supposedly Honorable Weber, let him talk about patriotism and the IG, so that the IG can look at the mirror. Let's have the video of Honorable Weber.
That my opposition to government was partly because I told them that when you form something called a government, all the people internationally who could sympathize with your movement, they run away from you. Why? Because they have diplomatic relations with the oppressor. So if you start by imitating that oppressor, you send away all your friends. So you have nobody who can sympathize with you.
So let the IG rethink. Let them consider their existence. Honorable Weber, who was supposedly the Vice President XXX named by Sisiku Ayuk Tabe, is telling us what we already know and what we have advocated. And what Dr. Capo Daniel was advised, and all the team that went to America, they were advised by a law firm that if you create a government, you are going to repel international solidarity and you are going to create opposition and destabilize the struggle. So two effects. One, you are going to lose support or potential supporters who will not even want to associate or mingle with you. So the existence of the IG and her claim of being a government is causing Ambazonia to lose friends. It's causing Ambazonia to lose. So if the IG is patriotic and puts the country above party, like Milton Taka said, then they have to rethink the whole existence of the IG and see whether it is necessary or not. If it is not helping Ambazonia, then they should close shop. They should disband themselves. Imagine how many IG now exist because of that one strong head. Even Milton Taka, in front of SCAF, that Mark Barata's organization, when I was there with Eugene Ufoka, in front of our president, he accepted that the IG was a mistake and it is wrong. He apologized. So if they know, and we are playing the voice of Honorable Weber, that the IG is destroying our international support and is destabilizing Ambazonia, then why do we have all these four people parading themselves as the IG, knowing very well that their mere existence is a negative to our struggle, both domestically and internationally? Why? They should rethink. So let's continue Honorable Weber's statement.
You have nobody who can listen to your story. Go around shouting and create governments and do all the things you did until you move in the right corridors and talk to the right people who will listen and say, okay, good. Loyalty is a dangerous thing.
Wait 1 minute. So what he's saying is true. Why is it that the United Nations was engaged with Dr. Chuayaba? It's not just, I don't think it's only about that the ADF and the AGOVC is a leading movement in diplomacy. It's also, I think, part of the reason that the IG claimed to be a government and they don't want to engage with them directly. It may be part of the reason. Why is Francois Faure, the representative of Guterres in Central Africa, having direct meetings with Dr. Chuayaba, the United Nations? Because they are on the right path. It is an organization that exerts Ambazonian sovereignty over our territory and protects our territorial integrity. And as such, we are an authority and a force, which is the right path. That is the right path. The IG ideology is wrong, and they should rethink. So let's hear what Honorable Weber have to say.
Because nobody wants to look stupid. No human being wants to look like an idiot. Therefore, my opposition to the government was, when you start an opposition...
I think it's too long. I want to cut it short. So Honorable Weber is saying that the whole idea is that it's a one of ego. Nobody wants to look stupid. So the IG know that they were wrong. But because they don't want to look stupid, they are not accepting it. They don't want to stop what they are doing. So they are holding their ego above the life of our people. They are holding their ego. It is very, very bad. If truly you love our people and you are patriotic and you know that what you are doing is destroying the struggle, why don't you stop it? Or why don't you just disband? Let us go to the second old video of Honorable Weber. This one is even long, and this was one of the first speech that Honorable Weber gave when he arrived in England. So let's go to the next video of Honorable Weber. And we see...
You did not set your foundation on truth. Because you are super intelligent, because you know everything, you decided to reverse the laws of science, physics, and art by deciding to begin the construction of a house from the roof. By forming something called a government, you had already decided that you will build the roof before you start setting the foundation. All of...
So, Honorable, they tell them, say, you don't decide for be the roof before you be the foundation. It is wrong. You are breaking the law of nature. He says that a thing, you create a thing called a government. It's to tell you that Honorable Weber is saying it is not even a government. Just like we have been saying, it is not a government. You just call it a government. The fact that you call it a government does not make it a government. Worse is that you try to actually behave like one by claiming exclusive powers. It is not bad to say that you are a government. If you are saying you are a government and then it can bear on you, people can look at you and say, okay, you are stupid. You have the right to be stupid. But when you try to impose yourself as having exclusive power, which is the problem of being a government, then you are wrong. The AGOVC is an authority, but we believe in collaboration. We don't believe in exclusive power of our sovereignty. We believe other nationalist movements, as well as other movements, they have the same power, even in areas we control, because we are all fighting for the same thing. So we don't claim exclusive power. So look at what the IG have created for us. Let's finish this particular clip of Honorable Weber.
What is happening out here in the diaspora, all of this fighting that's going on, all of this rotten politics that will take us nowhere. It is the weight of that rope that people are carrying on their heads and don't know where to throw it. They are now scratching the earth with their feet to set the foundation. It will crush you. It will crush you.
So, what Honorable Weber is talking be very important. He said all the problem we are facing today, all, is because of the IG. The IG is responsible for all the problems we have today in this struggle. We used to, when they hear that there was a protest in America, everybody was going. It did not matter whether it was Maurice or anybody who called it, everybody was going. The IG have transformed activists into supporters and followers. Today we see people like JC, a Tabe, who was an activist. She's now like just doing her things, private things. She's no more advocating for anything because her loyalty is just a group loyalty. Whereas Ray Baba, a very powerful voice in our struggle, he's now just there because the loyalty they demand from him in that organization does not even permit him to continue to support other things. That's why I really appreciate Silas Azefo. He's capable of crossing the eyes sometimes and do the right thing. So they have to be patriotic. And what Honorable said, that the weight of that IG will crush you. And that speaks volume. Look at everybody who have gone under that IG, what they have become. Sisiku himself, the father of the IG. Where is he today? For more than one reason or the other, it will be because of the IG. That is why he is there. We know that Cameroon put him there illegally. But the fact that he was not following rational behavior and listening to advice, it has crushed him. And look at all the good people who have joined the IG. Today, where are they? Where are they today? They are working with the enemies. Where are all of these people? How many destruction have the IG done? Today, we are hearing from the lawyers of in the prison that I will not call the name of the people in the jail because I don't want to make this to be an antagonizing thing to them. But they told the common law lawyers that they are giving them last chance. We'll give them a last chance more go for that common law, that Cameroon Bar Association election. How now do you do that kind of thing? Give them last chance for do it. If something is not working now, is it next year you wait for people to stay another 5 years, or how long does it stay for that mandate to finish again? All those things, no calculation, haphazard manner, not organized, just doing things like that and expecting that you hope that Ambazonia will be free and then Ambazonia will be free. No. For Ambazonia to be free, Ambazonia must be liberated. So these things have really destroyed us in more than one way or the other. So let's continue the statement of Honorable Weber.
You cannot go anywhere with that. How could you do this? How could you do this to us, to your own people?
So,
how?
That is the question Honorable Weber is asking the IG. And I want to put that same question to the IG care in response to, as part of the response to this their petition. How could you do this to us? Sisiku, Sako, Emmanuel Tita, Marianta, Yerima, Milton Taka. Wait, why una do it so? Una no say the IG, it make an international community they no fit interact with the way they fit interact with. Una no say the IG, it bring confusion for this struggle. Una no say the IG, it don't make and people that they die for ground zero because of infighting. Scammer they talk na me they go key another Ambazonian fighters and because they want claims that only they get that right for be so-called ARF now only they're supposed to be government. Why not they do it so? All these people they die for the infighting, all the confusion, the solution by our people that don't deserve to withhold their financial support for a very significant amount of people because of all the two una don't do and for we so. May una rethink the IG. Una rethink una existence. What you una use? Una not say communication. Una don't take now. Even the manager, he don't come up for day. Now na Renaissance movement of Cameroonian they day for day. Black legs then are the day for inside ABC now, SCBC. Ato Mocho had the koi. He's a Cameroon and he's working for Cameroon. Somebody who is bankrupt. He was recruited by Cameroon intelligence in America because he was bankrupt. He was broke. So look at what you people have done. Now wait to Narandu so. Look about kidnapping for ransom. Today you are complaining about kidnapping for ransom. The reason of kidnapping for ransom is giving legitimacy to groups on the ground without any command and control over them and any supervision. You are saying that you are against kidnapping for ransom. What causes kidnapping for ransom in the first place? If you are against kidnapping for ransom, I'm challenging the IG. If you are against kidnapping for ransom, why don't you dissociate yourself from any soldier in the ARF that is doing kidnapping for ransom? Why don't you fire the soldiers and say that we don't want you again like the ADF is doing? You have heard us in ADF dissociating ourselves with soldiers of the ADF who have engaged in this type of activity. Separate themselves from ourselves. Say that go, we don't want you again. No carry our name. Why can you not do the same if truly you are against kidnapping for ransom? I want the technician to play some videos of our anti-kidnapping squad. The ADF, the Ambazonia Governing Council, is the only movement that have taken the responsibility to fight against kidnapping for ransom. These are kidnappers who are doing kidnapping for ransom in the name of Amba. In the case when those kidnapping have been done by other Ambazonian legitimate forces, we have engaged them and secured the release of our people. On register, I have had more than 180 phone calls, text messages from individuals on the ground. 180. Me alone, I handle it. Then about the other officials fighting for kidnapping on ransom. Sleepless night, fighting for kidnapping on ransom. You don't just say you don't want kidnapping for ransom. What have you done? What are you doing with your power that you have, with your position and the voice that you have to fight against kidnapping for ransom? Instead, you are coming and making claims that are unfounded about kidnapping for ransom. Your own administration in the IG make a request to me through my office to the governing council to help secure the release of Paddy Young, who was arrested by an ARF force on the ground. So if you cannot ask a force that you claim or that you created, and we of the AGOVC, we go there and influence them and they release Paddy Young, who was the lead lawyer of your own leader in prison, how can you dare talk about kidnapping for ransom? It is shameful. It is shameful. You cannot talk about kidnapping for ransom to people who you are seeking for help to help people release. And Ambazonia, I want to tell you people, all of them in that IG, if any of their family members have problem in Ground Zero, they contact me. All of them. Even some who say that they are in their IG. When they really have problem in the ground, they call Capo Daniel. They contact the Ambazonia Governing Council. Of course, I work for the Ambazonia Governing Council. So, in a light-hearted manner, to return good for good, I will ask the IG care to rethink themselves, their existence. And I'll also ask them, for one thing, in their rule as opposition, they should not make us drag us down. Because now this is wasting time. We should be using this effort on thinking on way to collaborate. They should be thinking on how to reinforce our messages and make sure that we enforce this policy that helps. Don't criticize just for criticism in the middle of a war. Don't think because this other group is doing it, then you must just criticize. You must look for fault. You must come and say something wrong. So let us hear from Azefo, Atefo, Silas, what he had to say a little bit about the IG. I don't know if we have enough time to play it all, but let's listen to it.
Just a few episodes from SCPC, realized that there was a whole lot of antagonism going on towards other liberation liberation organization. It also defeats the purpose of between all the movements.
Is an Ambazonian movement. I really wish the Ambazonian people, because the SCBC is an Ambazonian jewel that that deserve its merit, but currently it's going through a crisis that I hope those who have the leadership over there can fix it for posterity. It will not serve the Ambazonian people. And I must say, for a while now, SCBC has been a shadow of itself. That is just the facts. You can look back what SCBC used to do and what it has become, especially talking about the antagonisms that you just mentioned. But I will not sit there and fan and encourage things that don't benefit the people of Ambazonia, and yet it is a package in their name. So those type of programs or institutions, they will not get my support, even though how it was all created by them. But at this point, even Yerima has no say over what goes on at the SCBC TV from the time that from that 2019 that I came on board. There's never been a day we had any meeting with Yerima to discuss anything about SCBC. There's never been a day Yerima called me or anybody to say SCBC has gone up or come down. There have actually been several times when Yerima has been trying to, Yerima or his people have been trying to help their communiques on SCBC TV, and it was even difficult.
So I think that is this talking about removing the date in your own eye before you try to remove the date in somebody else's eye. Now, former member this way, EBB, a board member for the SCBC, their management team for programs, he talked for the IG. The IG created the SCBC. They have a responsibility to make sure that they supervise it and they make sure it is helping the revolution. Atefo, Silas, they confess, say the SCBC, they push an antagonizing agenda for antagonize other movements, and it didn't benefit anything for the struggle. The IG should stop it. They should take responsibility. That is what leadership is all about. They registered that company. If they are so powerless and they are so weak, then for what use? They should rethink their existence. For what use is the IG? If you are so weak, scammers will take over you like we have seen. You have mushroom people who come and take over you like we have seen. And the IG should rethink itself. And that is our response to the IG petition. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day. The revolution continue, and we'll continue with our liberation actions on the ground. God bless you.
C'est le mama amba. C'est le mama amba. C'est le mama amba. Yote tomitumba. Mama amba tape sila. Opa mozu yonso sula francisca renta. Iye man kiba sima. Silo tondo. Sika sotore. Opa mozu
The AGOVC at the moment is not just doing self-defense. AGOVC is also involved in diplomacy. Ideally, we should get to a stage where we say, listen, maybe they are doing enormous work on self-defense. It would make a lot of sense to just support them and channel all self-defense efforts to AGOVC. Hopefully we'll get to a stage where that will become automatic.
Thank you. Remember those petitions, we need at least 100,000 of them so that this house, hello, we need 100,000 petitions signed so that this house may know how serious that we are about taking our country back. So if you have not passed that list round for people to sign, please do so and bring it back to us. Next on the line is somebody that you know really, really good. I really don't need to introduce him, but you know him, you've seen him, he believes in combat. Hello, Ambazonia! Blood by! I live here. Blood by! Put your hands together and welcome Comrade Ayuk, please.
Block by block, rooftop by rooftop, my fellow Ambazonians, sons and daughters of the Ambazonian Revolution. It is not time to celebrate. This is war. It is not time to celebrate. They robbed you of your homeland. They took away your hope. They robbed you of the right to dream of a future in the country of your birth. They murdered your citizens. They transform your brain to think like a Cameroonian, to worship their flag, to sing their anthem, to pray, hope, and dream like a Cameroonian. They took away the land of your birth. They demonized you. They robbed you of hope, of a dream of a future that is better than the one you inherited. They killed your parents, turned your fathers into boys, raped your mom, made your sisters to be ashamed, robbed them in more. They sent you into exile. You lost your neighborhood. They dispersed your friends. You became delinquent in a land that you did not understand. They took away something so essential to your own existence that you live here with your body, but your spirit hovers without knowing where to land. They took away from us something so important that life became something we have rejected in this land. They took away from you a country that gave you hope, built the first democratic system where there was an electoral government change. They took away from you your economic system. They blockaded your social system. They crumbled your economy so you could go into their own system to work for them. They made you drive through their own system so you could pay toll gate into their own system. They robbed you of your right to think, to hope, to have a future in the country of your birth. 243 years ago, the Americans told the British that their time of independence was now. They fought for 8 years, 4 months, and 15 days. They lost the Battle of Boston, but they won the war for the freedom of the United States. The South Africans face a nuclear power. They face a nuclear power country. Mandela said he is going to die for his people. He struggled in jail for 27 years because he didn't want to bequeath to the next generation something worse than he had inherited. He fought like a valiant soldier. The Eritreans humbled the Ethiopians, a more powerful Ethiopia supported by Libya and Russia. They fought in trenches, in gutter holes, on rooftop to be able to bequeath to the next generation something better. Your freedom is in your hands. It is going to be fought inch by inch, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, rooftop by rooftop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There you go.
Your freedom is in your hands. It is not going to be given to you on a platter of gold. I can assure you here from Washington, the land of our birth, the towns of Ambazonia will be liberated by the valiant soldiers who on a daily basis lay their lives, give their blood, deprive themselves of something more precious to make sure they can stand for our girls, for our children, for our mothers, for our fathers, to bequeath to the next generation a better country that they inherited. If this is the last thing you must give for your country, stand here in Washington and think of the freedom you enjoy. Think of the millions of Ambazonians who have not gone to school, those in jail. Think of Sisiku, think of Deacon Tasang, think of Poundful, think of Mancho BBC, think of Mami Abi. Are you ready to lay your life for Ambazonia? I can assure you, Ambazonians, we will build the most beautiful place on earth, a place that you would take pride in calling yourself a citizen, that will give to you a social system, an economic system, a political system you can be proud of. That is why we fight. We are ready to die for it, go to jail for it, so all of us as a people will be free someday. God bless you all. God bless Ambazonia.
Stay tuned on ACN TV. We will be right back.